start my presentation. Is it visible? Is the screen is visible?
Yes,
Can I
ma'am.
have any response from the participant sides?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Yes, ma'am. Visible, ma'am.
Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. Visible, ma'am.
Can anyone respond me?
It's visible, ma'am.
Can I have any response?
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Is the screen is visible? Kavya? Okay. Okay, good evening to all. Let me continue with the presentation. Okay, I welcome all the participants for the 37th day of the course Cyber Security. Okay, today we are going to see on the topic of security at the network layer. Okay, so far we have seen how the security is provided at the application layer and how the security is provided at the transport layer. So in the last session we have seen transport layer, that is using SSL and TLS, that is secure socket layer protocol and the transport layer security protocol. So these two protocols are providing security to the transport layer. So likewise we are going to see a specific protocol which provides security at the network layer. So that protocol is called as IP security, that is Internet Protocol Security. So we are going to deal with that protocol. Okay. So the objective of the session is to make you known about the security at the network layer. Okay, and we are going to deal with the IP security protocol, the Internet Protocol Security. Okay. And the outcome of the session may be the students may be able to understand the concept of how the security is provided at the transport layer. Okay. And these are the outlines of today's session. We'll be seeing what is the introduction part of the Internet Protocol Security and what is meant by IP security and what are all the goals of IP security, why it is needed, and there is some security issues. Okay. Security issues in the internet. Okay. So how far we can overcome these issues with the help of the Internet Protocol Security. Okay. And we will be seeing the overview of IP security protocol, and we will be seeing the security model of the IP security and how the encapsulation of data is provided for the delivery in the network and how the decapsulation of data is provided in the network. Okay. And we'll be seeing the functional, three important functional areas of IP security, which is provided by this protocol, IP security protocol. And we'll be seeing the architecture of the IP security. And we'll be seeing what are the each and every components involved in this architecture and the applications of IP security protocol and the benefits of the IP security protocol. And we have then we can conclude today's session. Okay, so these are the outlines. We'll see one by one. Okay, so coming on to the introduction part of the Internet Protocol Security. So normally in communication network, there are Okay. So in the interconnected business world, so whether it could be a internet world or it could be intranet or it could be a remote accessing world. So whatever it may be, the information passes over the network. Okay. So there is no security is provided for the information. So it is the main important thing to be noted. So for that purpose, each and every layer in the TCP/IP suite model, there is some security protocols or maintained that should be used for providing the security. Okay. So far we have seen at the application layer what are the security protocols that can be used. Okay, and Kerberos and PJP, these are all the protocols that can be used at the application layer. And likewise, at the transport layer, we can see the SSL certificate, that is SSL protocol and TLS protocol and SSH. Okay, okay. So without the security, the network cannot be it's going to be unauthorized access of information. So in order to provide the security, so at each and every layer, some security protocols to be used. Okay. So IP security protocol is going to be used in at the network layer, and TLS, that is transport layer security protocol, to be used at the transport layer. Okay. Okay, so only this IP security protocol, it protects all the application traffic over the IP network. Okay, that's the point to be noted. Okay, and the IP security, it's nothing. This protocol will be providing security at the internet protocol layer. Excuse me. It will be providing integrity, data integrity. That is, integrity means correctness of the data to be transmitted in between the sender and the receiver. Okay, so there is no more data loss in the transmission. That is called as integrity. Okay, and authentication. So authentication means that is the corresponding sender is the only person sending the particular information. So that should be received by the receiver. Okay. So the receiver should authenticate the proper sender. Okay. That is authentication. And the confidentiality of data during the transmission is also maintained. So all these will be ensured with the help of the IP security protocol. Okay. So IP security protocol, it's a protocol suite for providing security to the communication for the authentication purpose and encrypting the IP packet. Okay. So we call this IP security as a set of protocol and algorithm which will be providing security to the IP data and the network layer. So mainly this protocol will be implemented at the network layer, that is layer 3 of the TCP/IP protocol suite. Okay, and we call this IP security as an open standard for the virtual private network implementation. So we can go for implementing this IP security protocol in case of a VPN network also. Okay, virtual private network also. Okay, for providing the security. Keep that in mind. Okay. And this IP security protocol is inbuilt in the Internet Protocol version 6. Okay, and also compatible with the version 4. Okay, so coming on to this IP security, it is we call this as a Ietf Standards. Okay, so what does Ietf means? Internet Engineering Task Force Standard suite of protocols. So what for? We are using this protocol means to provide a security between the two communication parties, between the sender and the receiver, okay, across the network. Okay, okay. So it is used to provide, with the help of this protocol, we can go for achieving or ensuring the authentication, integrity, confidentiality, encryption. It also defines the encryption, decryption, and authenticated packets. Okay, and addition to that, this protocol is also used to for the secured exchange of the keys. Okay, so it is very much essential for the key exchange, for the secured key exchange also, and key management also. So for all these purpose, we are using this IP security protocol at the network layer, that is layer 3. Okay. So what is the goals of IP security protocol? Okay. So it is going to used for verifying the sources of the IP packets, from which source it is coming from. The receiver can verify the source address of the IP packets. Okay, that is verifying the IP packets means sources means it is nothing but it is authenticated one. That is, the receiver can understand that from which source the IP packet is coming. That is authenticated. Okay, and it also used to prevent the replaying of the old packets. Okay, so there won't be any duplication of the packets. It will prevent, IP security protocol will prevent the replaying of the old transfer of the old packets. Okay, and it also gives the protection, the integrity and confidentiality of the packets. Okay, so confidentiality of packets means it is referring the encryption part and the decryption part. Okay. So goal of IP security is nothing but it's going to provide the authentication, and it's going to provide the data integrity and the data encryption part. Okay. Okay. So coming on to the security issues in internet protocol, that is at the network layer, what are all the security issues that can be carried out in the network layer. So source spoofing can be occurred. Okay, can occur. Okay, source spoofing means, what do you mean by that? That is the false representation of the source address. Okay, that is source spoofing. So we call that source spoofing as a DOS attack. That is denial of service attack. Okay. So there could be a chance of source spoofing and replay packets. So replay packets means once again we are sending or transmitting the old packets. That is replaying the packets. So that is called as replay attack in the network. Okay, fine. So no data integrity is maintained. That is modifications are done. It's a specific security issue. And no confidentiality is also maintained. So no confidentiality means no encryption. No encryption means it means that you can spy on the transmission of data between the sender and the receiver. So these are some of the security issues in the network layer. So all these security issues can be overcome with the help of the security protocols. Okay, fine. Okay. So for these issues, to overcome all these issues, we are going to use a internet protocol, that is IP security protocol at the network layer. Okay, fine. In order to resolve all these limitations, which provides us strong encryption, data integrity, authentication, and replay protection. Okay. So for these 4 reasons, we are introducing the IP, that is internet protocol security protocol to the network layer. Okay, fine. Okay. So what are all the security problem you are facing? Suppose if in the internet you can that is the public network. Okay. So you can no one can trust that particular network. Your data can be lost or stolen or hacked. Likewise, and the transmission of data will not be unreliable one. So unreliable means you cannot ensure that the proper data will be transmitted from sender to receiver. Okay, so if it is a reliable means end-to-end transmission is very good. Okay, that is no loss of data. Okay, so all these network, that is internet, is facing some untrusted, we call this internet as an untrusted network, and unreliable IP network and public network. So all these will be lacking some security. Okay, so in order to provide the security, we are going for the internet protocol security protocol. Okay, and for these reasons, internet is going to subject to have some specific types of threats also. Okay, internet threats can be data integrity, that is the content of the packet can be accidentally modified or deliberately modified. Deliberately means that's the intention to modify the data between the sender and the receiver. Some intruder will do that. Okay. The next threat is identity spoofing. That is the origin. Origin means the source of the IP packet may be forged. Forged means you can produce the false source IP address. That is called the source spoofing or identity spoofing. Okay, that we call it as a DOS attack. Okay, and the next threat is anti-replay attacks. That is unauthorized data can be retransmitted. That is the old packets can be retransmitted across the network. Okay, and the loss of privacy. That is the content of the packet can be hacked in between the transmission or between the sender and the receiver. Okay, so for all these, all are called as internet threats. So to overcome all these threats, we are moving to the security at each and every level or layers in the TCP/IP suite model. Okay, so at the application layer, we are going for providing the security. We will be using PGP protocol, Kerberos, and secure socket hash protocols. Okay, and at the transport layer, we'll be using the SSL and TLS, and at the network layer, we'll be using the protocol like IP security. Okay, and at the data link layer, we'll be using the hardware encryption. Okay, so far we are seeing the internet threats and what are all the disadvantages or security issues is at the network layer. For all these, to overcome all the limitations of the issues, is we are going for the security at each and every level or the layers. Okay. Okay. So this we can see here the security model of the IP security. Okay. So between the hosts at the sender side and at the receiver side. So you can provide this IP security protocol can provide a secure transmission between the host to host, that is sender to receiver. Okay, fine. So in the next case, you can see the insecure. So what do you mean by that? In across the network, there is a router which is connected. Two routers are connected, and from that routers, the system is connected to the routers. Okay. So we call that as a network. Okay. So across the network, you cannot ensure that the particular data is transmitted in the correct manner. Okay. So data integrity cannot be enforced. Okay. So we call that as an insecure model. Okay. So for this, we are going to in order to provide the security, IP security protocol is used. So see here, I can have the encapsulation of data for the network delivery. So in the network layer, how the encapsulation is done. So starting from the application layer, the original message will be passed on to the next below layer, that is transport layer. Okay, so it will be, the message will be reached at the transport layer as data. where in which the protocols used are TCP and UDP. Okay, so at the transport layer, you can have the header can be attached to the data. Okay, fine. So the next layer is network layer. So while coming on to the next layer, it is also the network header will be added onto the data. So adding the headers to the original data, we call that process as an encapsulation of data. Okay, fine. So the next below layer is data link layer. Okay, so from that the header 1 will be added to the data 1. So in this manner, the encapsulation is going okay. See here, you can see the packet. Packet means it is comprising the data as well as the head part. Okay, fine. So this is the packet that will be sent by the host A. Okay. So from the data link layer, it will be passed on to the intermediate routers. The packet received by the intermediate routers. Okay. So then it will move on to the, so from the sender part, it starts from the application layer, or the original message will be there, and moves to the next transport layer, then moves to the network layer, then moves to the data link layer, and it will goes across the network and it will reaches the receiver. So among at the receiver side, decapsulation will process will goes on. Okay, so decapsulation means separating the header from the data. See here, decapsulation of data from the network delivery. Okay, so this is the data link layer. You will be having the data as well as the header part. Okay, so decapsulation means removing the header, and you will be having the data 1 alone. Okay. And after that, it will move on to the next upper layer, that is network layer. Removing the header 2, you will be having the data 2, and it moves on to the upper layer, that is transport layer. Removing the header 3, you will be having the data 3 alone. Okay, and so after removing, you will be having the data 3. Next, moving on to the next upper layer is application layer. That is, you will be having only the original message. Okay. So in this way, from the receiver side, you will be having the headers will be attached to the original data, that is going to be the encapsulation process, and at the receiver side, you have to process the decapsulation part, that is separating the header and the data. Okay, fine. So coming on to the IP security, it mainly focuses on three functional areas. That is, the first functional area is authentication, and the second one is confidentiality, and the third one is key management. So IP security protocol will provide all these authentication, confidentiality, and key management. Okay, fine. The same thing, IP level security encompasses three functional areas: authentication, confidentiality, and key management. Okay. So what is meant by authentication? So authentication means it ensures that the received packet was sent by the original source. That is, the sender is identified. It also ensures that the packet has not been altered in between the transmission. That is called as authentication. What is meant by confidentiality? So whenever confidentiality comes into picture, blindly you can state that encryption process has to be maintained. Okay. So the confidentiality facility enables the communicating nodes to encrypt the messages in order to avoid the hackers to access that message. Okay. So it prevents the eavesdropping by third parties. Okay, fine. That is called as confidentiality. So coming on to the key management, it is concerned with the secured exchange of keys. Okay. So this is the scenario. You can see the IT security scenario. You can see three networks. Okay. So the user system with the IT security protocol is sending the message or packet with the IP header, IP security header, and the secured IP payload. So this is the format of the packet which is sent by the user system. Okay. If it is using the IP security protocol, it will be sent. The message packet will be like this. And this packet will come across the public internet or the private network. Okay, fine. So the two networks are here. Okay, it is which is connected via the networking devices. Fine, router is connected to the internet. Okay, so it has been transmitted to the different networks. And coming on to the architecture. Internet Protocol Security Protocols architecture, it covers the security requirements, general concepts, definition parts and mechanisms defining the IP security technology. Okay. So in this architecture, we are going to see three main components. The first one is authentication header, which is represented by AH, and the second one is ESP, that is encapsulating security payload, ESP. Okay. And third one is IKE, that is nothing but internet key exchange. So these are the three main components involved in that is IP security architecture. We will see one by one. So what is meant by authentication header? Okay. It provides the source authentication. That is, it avoids or it protects it against the source spoofing. That is, there cannot be any false source identification. That's the meaning, source spoofing. Okay. Okay. With this authentication header, you can avoid the false source address. Okay. And it also provides the connectionless data integrity. That is, data integrity means there cannot be any loss of data in between transmission of send it to receiver, and it also protects against the replay attacks. That is, replay attacks means you cannot retransmit the old packets. Okay. So by protecting against the replay attacks, you can go for protecting against the denial of service attacks. Okay, device attacks, and but there is no protection for the confidentiality. Okay, confidentiality. This authentication header will provide source authentication, data integrity, and protect against the replay attacks, but it will not go for giving protection for the confidentiality. That will be provided by the ESP component. So far we have seen three components now. This AH will be providing all these scores, that is authentication, source authentication, data integrity, and replay attacks. Okay, and this encryption part will be done by the ESP. The AH details. Okay, so it is nothing but it uses 32-bit monotonically increasing sequence number to avoid the replay attacks, and it also uses the hash algorithm, strong hash algorithms. And what are the algorithms we have so far seen? So hash algorithm that is the MD5, that is message digest file algorithm, then SHA, that is secure hash algorithm. These are the two algorithms which you have seen. Okay, so AH will use these strong hash algorithms to protect data integrity. Okay. See here, SHA 96, and So which will be using the message bits, 96 bits will be used for hash algorithms, and for this they'll be using symmetric key cryptography as well as HMAC SHA-96 and HMAC MD596. Okay, fine. And here you can see the authentication header packet details. So it includes new IP header and next header, payload length reserved, SPI means security parameters index, sequence number, only old, that is old IP header, only in channel mode. So actually we'll be seeing two operating modes. One is the travel transport mode and tunnel mode. Okay, and this AH packet details will be, that is in that AH packet details. So only the IP old IP header will be used in tunnel mode. Okay, we will be seeing what are the modes. Okay, fine, and you will be having the TCP header, data, and authenticated data. Okay, fine. So all these are called as authenticated headers. Okay. The next excuse me. It's very hard to slide. Okay, coming on to the next component is ESP, that is encapsulating security payload. ESP, okay, fine. And this ESP will provide all the authentication headers part, and in addition to that, ESP will be providing the confidentiality. Okay, so confidentiality will not provided by the authentication header. This ESP will provide data confidentiality, that is encryption will be done with this with the help of this ESP. Okay, uses symmetric key encryption. Okay, in order to provide the data confidentiality. And the ESP is also uses, it's similar to that of the authentication header, and it uses the 32-bit sequence number to counter the replaying attacks, and it also uses the integrity check algorithms also. So only in ESP it specifically provides the data confidentiality. That is, it which uses the symmetric key encryption algorithms to encrypt the packets. That's the main thing to be noted for ESP. Okay. Coming on to the next, we'll see the packet details. So here you can have the ESP packet details, which consisting of IP header, next header, payload length, reserved SPI, sequence number, initialization vector, TCP header, data. In the data, you will be having the pad length, next, and authentication data. So here you can have the authenticated part at the left side, it is noted, and at the right side you can have the encrypted TCP packet from TCP to till the data, TCP header and data is the encrypted TCP packet. Okay. Coming on to the next, so these see here this internet protocol security, IP security protocol can be operated in two types of modes. One is the transport mode, the other one is the tunnel mode. Okay, fine. So both the components. So what are the components we are seeing? Authentication header, that is AH, and the other component is ESP, that is encapsulation. Okay, ESP, these two component can be operated in two types of modes. One is transport mode, the other one is tunnel mode. Okay, fine. Okay, so AH, what is the main purpose means? At the transport mode, it authenticates the IP payload, and it also selected authenticates the IP payload and the selected portions of the IP header and IPv6 extension headers. Coming on to the tunnel mode, yes, A means security association. So transport mode security association and tunnel mode security association. Okay, so this tunnel mode means a tunnel means you can heard of this tunnel where it comes. So we have seen this tunnel protection in the virtual private network VPN. Okay, so that is what for we are going for tunnel. That is the packet will be surrounded by a another packet. Okay, so that the original data could not be lost. Okay, fine. So that is the tunnel mode. Okay, so this AH, the component authentication header, authenticates the entire inner IP packets plus the selected portions of the outer IP headers. Okay, so you'll be having the inner portion of the IP packet and the outer portion of the IP packet. Okay, fine. So coming on to the ESP, at the transport mode, it encrypts the IP payload and the any IPv6 extension header. Also, ESP will be encrypting the inner IP packet under the tunnel mode. Okay. So there are and ESP with authentication encrypts the IP payload and IPv6 extension header, and also authenticates IP payload but no IP header. Okay. And at the tunnel mode, ESP with authentication encrypts the inner IP packet and authenticates the IP packet. So the third component is key management. That is, IP security protocol will provide the secure key exchange. Okay. So key management portion, it involves the determination of the secret keys and the distribution of the secret keys. So for this key exchange, we have to go for using the specific algorithms. Okay. Okay. So the requirement is 4 keys for communication between the two applications. That is transmit and receive the pairs for both the AH and the ESP. Okay? And this key management will support for 2 types of key management. This IP security for 2 types of key management. One is